Welcome everyone. Welcome to Nkosi Talk Shows, where we help you find the voice within. My name is Kamal Amer. I'll be the host today, and with me is my lovely co-host, Shireen. Shireen, please welcome and please introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh, so lovely to be here. Thank you. Thank you, Kamal. Yeah, so I'm Sharon Lovegrove and I help women with imposter syndrome to learn to love their perfectly imperfect selves so that they can get to fulfill their dreams. So, my background is that I'm an author, a transformational coach. I do hypnotherapy, and I really just spend a lot of time just focusing on helping women connect back to their disconnected parts back to themselves. So, yeah, that's where I am. I spend a lot of time really looking at lots of spiritual stuff. And I love it that you have marked coach, because for me, that is really such a beautiful, beautiful a symbol to see. And it just so reminds me of the idea of how we need to be light in our lives in order to move forward.
Thank you very much, Shireen. To those of you who know me, welcome. To those of you who don't, my name is Kamal Amer. I am a certified NLP trainer, a master practitioner, hypnotherapist, and a certified life purpose specialist. What I do is I enjoy and actually find pleasure in helping people uncover their purposes in life by using NLP tools as well as ancient Egyptian techniques to help you achieve a life filled with fulfillment and satisfaction.
Mm.
So today we have decided to talk about self-limiting beliefs again. It is a subject that comes up a lot. It is a subject that many people have, and I don't think it's never too much to talk about it, because
No.
we can all help at some point with it. We all have these at some points. And to start it off, I'll just start off with a short motivational story that is very common to find. And the story is about a gentleman that was walking through an elephant camp, and he spotted that the elephants weren't being kept in cages or held by the use of chains.
Mm.
And all that was holding them back from escaping the camp was a small piece of rope tied to one of their legs. Now, as the man gazed upon the elephants, he was completely confused as to why the elephants didn't use their strength to break the rope and escape the camp. I mean, these are massive elephants. They could easily have done that, but instead they didn't try at all.
Yeah.
Now, the gentleman was curious and wanting to know the answer to that fascinating question he had. He asked the trainer that was nearby, standing next to an elephant that also never tried to escape, right? And the trainer replied, "When they are very young and much smaller, we use the same size rope to them. And at that age, it's enough to hold them back. As they grow up, they are conditioned to believe they cannot break away. They believe the rope can still hold them, so they never try to break free." Now, the only reason that the elephants weren't breaking free and escaping from the camp was because over time, they adopted the belief that it is just impossible.
Mm.
Now, with this story, I like to remind people that a belief is just a thought that we have, that we thought of time and time again. So much so that it has become ingrained in the way we see ourselves and the way that we believe other people see us. Now imagine what happens when you choose to believe or not to believe about yourself. Those come from what our parents tell us, our peers, family members, teachers, throughout our growing up stages of life. Or if you will, the conditioning that you are getting. Since most of the time we consider these people persons of importance or authority, their words strike us really hard. And we start believing things we don't necessarily know if they are true or not. So here comes your part, Shireen. What do you think about that so far?
Yeah, I mean, what jumped up there for me was the idea that when you said, oh, do they believe it or not, is that they probably wouldn't even question it. They wouldn't even question the belief because it is so much the filter through which they're looking at. So, and, so for example, if you have a belief, you put on a pair of glasses, and then you can put on, I don't have another pair of glasses yet, but you put another pair and another pair and another pair. And what happens is eventually those are the things that you're going to look through. And yet you'll have got so used to it. You'll have got so used to it that you won't know that these beliefs are different. You won't know that you're being held by beliefs. And I think that so many, we all of us hold beliefs. And whether they're true or untrue, we hold them. And if they serve us, then they can be very helpful and powerful. But if they don't, we have to kind of really start to look at what are the lies we're telling ourselves. What are the things that where are we hiding from ourselves? Where are we not looking deeper? And then you've got to look back as, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid is going to happen if I let go of this belief? Because very often these beliefs are formed when we're very little. And we don't have the ability to discern. And then, and so we believe it. And it reminds me too, because as you told me the story, yes, I had remembered it. But it just so amazes me that that something so small can hold something so big. Yeah, it's almost like as each belief gets validated, because I think the thing that people don't understand is that a belief has to be validated for it to be true.
Absolutely.
It has to be validated. But if you don't try and you don't pull the rope, or you don't do the thing that you need to do, how are you going to know? How are you going to know it's not true? Yeah,
exactly.
And it's interesting because we had foot and mouth, you probably know, a while ago here in the UK. And thank God it's been a while. But when we went walking up along the mountains, what we found for the first time is that the farmers had actually put electric wire across parts of their land. And they actually said that we're only doing this for the period of a couple of months, because by the time a couple of months will happen, the sheep will know that there's an invisible boundary there, and they don't cross over. And there's not even a rope.
No, it's not.
You just don't cross over it. Isn't that amazing? So it makes perfect sense that a belief that is, kind of nebulous, it forms with something to start, and then it doesn't have to even be a physical thing anymore for us to be reminded that this is going to limit us in some way.
That's
we've got to stay.
Yeah. And it's really amazing about the sheep, and like how they can just they just realize, okay, this is a no-go area, right? And there's nothing there. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I was talking to this special lady in my life, and she used to help women deliver children, and what they called in the Middle East a doula, right? And
I am a doula. Yeah.
Oh, are you? Amazing. And so she was. I have her story there because I can't remember it per se. And she was talking about the limiting beliefs that a lot of mothers carry when in childbirth, right? And they were trying to educate the midwives and the nurses that during labor they shouldn't offer epidural because like it's enough for the mother to have somebody that believes in you that you can do it, that you can give birth. Of course, I'm just saying this from a story. I'm not, I'm a guy, I don't give birth, so I've got no clue what. That's her words. And she was saying that the mother usually just needs that to keep going. She needs that support, someone who really believes in them. Even though they might not believe it in their body, that they feel the pain or anything, right?
Mm.
And they're saying, on the other hand, that the education of the midwives to not offer medication or epidural, because the moment you offer it to the mother, you are telling her, I don't think that you can make it. I don't think that you can deliver this baby without help, without medication. And often, if they refuse it the first time, once they offer it the second time, it becomes so strong enough from that midwife or nurse that the mothers accept it. And that is enough to break down that belief in a mother that she can handle giving birth on her own without medication. And it's really interesting how such tiny words can impact the course of a person's belief, or the person's esteem of what they can or cannot do.
Yeah.
So I mean, that story, when she told me that story, I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that. That's incredible. I thought it was just like offer, like front, left, and right, you know. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, look, my background is a nurse, yeah, and I trained midwife. Did that a long time ago. And then I ended up being a birth practitioner. So I used to do something called the gentle birth, which was how to help women have an easy birth.
Right.
So I and I'm not anti-medication at all. Absolutely not. But what I want is that certainly a mother has a good birth in a way that she feels empowered, that she feels that she's okay, and that she knows that she's gone through this birth. And even if she has had something, that she might still be able to do it again without anything.
Right.
So part of it is really about really understanding that there's nothing really wrong with giving someone medication, but I think it's really important that we look to see what kind of education are we giving our clients and the hospitals that we're in. Are we listening to the language that we're using? And that's the key. That is the key, because so many of us are not aware, and certainly as a for me, and I'm going to say I was guilty. I was incredibly guilty of the idea that, when you're so busy, you just want this person to be done. I know this sounds really horrible, but when you're in that place, it's so hard to be able to step back and be able to say, you know what, I'm going to spend time. Right. Because time is what you're being squeezed out of. But in the long run, it is time that actually does save the day. Because if you pushing mothers through and you're doing all these things, what's likely to happen is they don't get to learn to trust themselves.
Correct.
They don't get to learn to listen to their innate inner wisdom, which is the key, and then they, part of the time people give birth, they don't give birth in the natural position of giving birth. Yeah. They're lying down. No, they should be squatting. Yeah. And we don't encourage that. So it's kind of running these two patterns in of trying to keep a control where you can watch and monitor, and then you have the other. But I really realized that when I moved away and started to do more of the gentle birth, I really was aware of the impact of my words. Mm-hmm. And how, when I was preparing people, I would have the mums and the dads come in and speak to them about how they could talk to each other and how they could support each other when it was a challenge. Okay, so, if you're experiencing some discomfort, to use that word, I'm experiencing discomfort rather than pain.
Right.
All right. Okay, where am I? Can I handle the discomfort? How much am I handling right now? So you teach them a language that allows them to be different. And I think, as you say, that that motivates them, which is what this is about. That really motivates them forward to look at potentiality, the possibility of doing something. And it does make me so aware of how we need to guard our words.
Absolutely. And speaking of guarding the words and how we communicate, there's this simple exercise that I learned from my mentor. And I'll do it with you if you don't mind.
Oh, lovely.
But the audience will also understand, if the audience does it with us, they'll realize the impact of the words that we're using right now. Okay. So I will give you an exercise right now to do, right? It will take about 2 minutes to complete it. However, it's a very difficult exercise and you might not be able to complete it. But I don't want you to worry. If you need help, you just need to raise your hand and tell me I'm going to help you. Okay. Right? Now, this is something that a lot of teachers do by mistake.
Yeah.
And now imagine, can you just tell me and tell the audience how do you already feel when I'm telling you that we're going to do that exercise? How does it make you feel?
Well, the exercise was fine until you started talking beyond that exercise. And you said, it's going to be difficult and it's going to be this. And then, I'll help you. And I was going, oh my God, is this going to be a difficult? we're in front of so many people and you're going to give me a difficult task.
You see, that's already like, you already weren't sure if you could make it. You started doubting yourself and your capabilities. You already put yourself in a frame that, okay, I'm going to need help for that. And probably felt that you're going to get embarrassed now because you're in front of people as well. And then probably a part of you also said, no, I don't want to do that exercise anymore. Mm. Right?
Possibly. No, in my case, it wasn't that. I was just kind of thinking, oh God. Yeah. I might have to put my hand up.
That's the thing, right? Yeah. Some people might have gone to that extreme and said like, oh no, I'm not going to even try and do this.
Yeah.
And this is part of the communication that we're talking about. And it's very important to realize what's happening, right? What I did with the exercise, I'm going to repeat it for everybody so that they understand. I framed your mind to understand that it was a difficult exercise, that you might not be able to do it alone. And on top of that, I just confirmed and enforced it by saying, I'm here to help you. And that means that you will definitely need my help. And by doing that, I automatically limited your personal beliefs. And you have accepted this just because I'm here talking to you and there is absolutely no proof or fact to support that limiting belief. Why? Because you probably consider me a person of authority that has an exercise that you don't understand. And that's scary when you think about the educators that do that, the teachers, the professors, even parents sometimes do that. And that's one of the things that I've implemented at home with my children, like my son and my daughter. They had started at a stage saying, oh, this is too difficult. I said, no, it's not difficult. You don't know how to do it yet. You still have to learn how to do it in a different way. And the funny thing is that sometimes I have a slip of tongue. And I say, oh, you know what? It might be a little bit difficult. And my son, he looks at me and he goes, Dad, nothing is difficult. You just don't know how to do it yet. We say, yes, you're absolutely right. God, why did I even teach them NLP? But it's really important, and I can't stress it enough. The impact, like you stressed it, the impact of our words on others, even on ourselves, is absolutely crucial to pay attention to.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I sometimes I just kind of think, I'm just going back into time when I actually just, with working with my pregnant woman, I'll say, well, logically, this shouldn't be a problem. Maybe what I'm not seeing something yet that I haven't seen, where I would, certainly if someone was saying, oh, she needs to have some medication or she needs this. And I'll say, well, quite now, let me just have a look. I'm not, I need to reason with this client. And I want to be sure that I can understand your reasoning so that I can support her. Right. And so it was really about looking at possibility, because my job, what I felt in that position, is that the most important thing is that this mother has a good birth, that she's able to feel she is in control of the decisions we make. Mm-hmm. And I think the moment you get a sense that you have that sense of control, even if it's something you don't know yet, I think there's something really important, is that we have to know that we're going to be okay, even if we don't know.
Yeah.
And as long as we can manage that and hold that, I think it helps. And part of that is having someone else that's around you that's also going to support you in that, because these little words, they're part of our conditioning that we had as a child. And that frame wouldn't work with somebody who truly is very confident. They would just probably say, well, I don't really believe that. But for most of us, we've all got our little demons. Yeah.
And that's what we all struggle with, right? We have to accept them and realize how we can change these things. I'll get back to what you're saying here, is the enforcement of the words that we're using again, right? And it causes us to have these tiny thoughts or actions, like you start labeling yourself. You're fat, you're skinny, you're lazy, you're undisciplined, you're stupid, and I'm using the derogative terms. I'm not using the positive terms, because the ones there. And you start taking personal responsibility of things you have no control over. Like, for instance, choosing to go to a restaurant that was highly recommended, and it turns out it was about choice. You start saying, oh my God, this is my fault now. Or something like another colleague of mine that says, you become a graduate with a PhD in catastrophic thinking, with the worst possible outcome.
I know that. Okay.
And like you mentioned in the beginning, right? Your filters, they're constantly turned into or onto the negative rather than the positive, even though I don't really like to use those two extreme terms. Another thing that happens is that you start to mind read. And many of us fall into this trap, as trained as you might be. You do fall into that trap sometimes. And we think why another person didn't answer us in that specific moment.
Yeah.
Why didn't he or she answer my message? Am I being ignored, etc., right? You start speaking to yourself as a dictator. You should do this. You need to do that. You have to do this and that. And what you're doing there is that you're only setting up yourself for failure, because you're dictating the whys. Who says that it needs to be done that way? Who says that you have to do this or the other? You're forcing yourself to not have a choice at this stage of your life. And of course, the worst of all is having no gray area, no lenience for yourself. If you didn't complete a task perfectly, it's a failure. Ignoring, for instance, the fact that, well, you did achieve the goal as much as it wasn't perfect, but you still reached the target, right? And these are some of the points that really push down your belief system and limit you to realizing your potential.
Yeah. And these are things that You know, if we step back and step back and step back, there are probably strategies we learned a long time ago to resolve an issue that we were struggling with. And, but the thing is, now we're seeing it as our, you know, something that's hurting us, something that's in the way, something, and we're trying to not go near it. We're trying to not find out. We're busy constantly trying to push it away. And so what we don't do is we don't get to explore it and get to free ourselves from it. So what you were saying is, who says that you can't do that? You know, we don't get to question the validity of the belief.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, and I think something that you said earlier on, which is, how can we get hooked into this? You know, how everybody, you know, all of us on some level, even the most sane person will be gullible to something, because we all have grown up in a world where we have beliefs. We've formed beliefs about things that have happened in our lives. And so it just needs that one little thing that we have not put the guard against, that all of a sudden we land in that space. Yeah. And I think that, and it does. But the curious thing is to kind of go, how come I got hooked? How come I got hooked? Right. Most of the time I wouldn't get hooked. How come I got hooked? And it's so interesting when I look at someone, you know, particularly when you have people cold calling you or things like that. How do you get hooked on with something and not with someone else? And it often is because you're resonating on some level with that person. Absolutely. And the sympathy or the care or whatever, and all your guards disappear. And all of a sudden something happens, and then you go, then you blame yourself, you know, why didn't I notice? But actually, if you just get really curious about how come, how come?
I love that. You know, I love that you were talking about cold call now, because like I used to work in call centers, and I was a trainer or a coach for like soft skills between quotations, right? They're just basic skills. and I hang up the phone straight away on cold calls. There's like somebody calls, yes sir, blah blah blah. Nope, not interested. And there are very few that when they call me, I stay on the line and I listen to them, even though I'm not going to buy anything from them. I listen to them because they are following my standards, my beliefs, my way of thinking, or perhaps even the way that I was coaching the others. And after that long conversation, we have a back and forth, and I would tell them, look here, I need to tell you this, I'm not buying anything, but I want to make sure that you or whoever's recording or the quality assurance team, that you have done an amazing and fantastic job. If you were somebody else doing it in a different way, I would have hung up the second you would have called. So thank you. And because this is important for them, because they make like, I don't know how many calls they make per day.
Yeah, loads.
Right? So I'm sorry, I interrupted you, but it's just that.
No, it's great.
In my mind.
I think it's great. I mean, there are pet hates. Cold calling is pet hates. And I know it's one of the most stressful jobs for anyone to have. Because how much rejection can you experience?
Right.
I don't think I could handle that, to be honest. They somehow or other they've managed that. I need to model them.
Yeah. Oh, they're amazing at it.
I need to model that. But it really is useful in just kind of noticing, who do we listen to? Whose words go deep, right, and hit us, and sometimes wound us when they don't have a right to.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have a right because they've wounded us from something that's really not true necessarily about us or true about our potentiality. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It brings me to this story that I read again. Like, I love stories, obviously. And but it's also a story that can help the audience think about differently about their limiting beliefs. And you're more than welcome to join this story as well. Like, it's an easy exercise.
It'll be a fun one.
It's a fun one, yes. In this context, I would like you to imagine yourself on a yacht. And that yacht is built out of wooden planks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to have a sturdy boat or a sturdy yacht, you need the wood planks to be tough and with no holes or rotten parts to be able to reach a destination. Now, I want you to imagine yourself at sea on a journey, and all those thoughts or beliefs you have about yourself start to create holes and starts to leak water inside that yacht and rot your boat. Now, what will happen? You will sink. All of because you decided to use cheap material. Now, I want you to imagine that yacht is you. How do you want to build your yacht? Do you have a voice in your head that tells you at times, I'm not smart enough, people don't like me, I'm not good at sports, I don't deserve it, I'm unlucky, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm weird, I've got a big nose? So pay attention to how you talk to yourself, because these are the planks of your boat. I can't remember where I read this, and I really wish I could quote the person that wrote it, because I'm usually good with quotes and remembering people, but this story, for some reason, it disappeared.
Yeah.
But I really love it because obviously our life is a journey. And throughout that journey, we collect some beliefs, we collect information and ideas, ideologies. We even shape our identity based on these values and beliefs.
Yeah.
And if they are rotten, and I'm saying rotten, that means because they are not true, there is no fact behind them, it absolutely causes our life or our journey to be, in a sense, useless. You'll sink all the way through that journey, through that you won't even reach the destination. Yeah. Or you might reach it, but you reach it crippled and like gasping for air and like almost dead. And my question to the audience is that the life that you want for yourself? Is that how you want to live the rest of your life? Crippled by conditioning, by beliefs that are not yours? Or do you want to take charge and build that yacht your own way? And that's, I think, is an important question that everybody should keep asking themselves. And if they have doubts, then they look into where they can change them.
Yeah. And I'm guessing just the question is, are you living your best life ever? Just every day, am I living my life in a way that allows me to feel this is my best life? Now, most of us probably will say, yes, we're living a reasonably good life, but we can't have any better. Well, then there's your belief. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, or they may come up with some other funny story, which may or may not be true. But the thing is that we have to ask our question, is this the life that we have always dreamed of? And if it isn't the life we've always dreamed of, what is stopping us getting in the way? And those generally are beliefs. And they may not, and one of the first things we often do as a child when we experience difficulties is we feel hurt and we feel the victim and we feel whatever it is. But what we do is we turn that onto other. So we go with the belief that other people are hurting us, yeah. But we also change that around and make us the other that's hurting us. Mm-hmm. So we have our internal voice that's doing that as well. And I know you've done NLP as I've done, but what I remember a story which it was one of my master prac things where I remember going out with this on a first date to the comedy club and Trafalgar Square was like packed. And we were going sort of to a place called Covent Garden, and we wanted to go to the Leicester Square. And he said to me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and look. All right, I'm going to go and look. I'm going to leave you with all these people, and I'm going to go and look. And as he did that, I heard my mother's voice saying, he's not a nice guy.
Oh,
he's not a nice guy. Don't trust this guy. Don't, and I just heard this, and that moment, and thankfully, these are the wonderful things with techniques that NLP can give us, which is I heard it, and I thought, and I said, but I don't believe that. He's going to find out how we can get there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how does this equate with that? And in that moment, I heard my mother, left ear, and I said, and I turned around and I said, I know you want to take care of me. Mm-hmm. I know you don't want me to get hurt, but right now, I'm going to ask you to be quiet. And I moved it to the other side, and it was a completely different voice. But it was one of the first times I really felt anxiety and that doubt and that criticism just disappear. And it was a real validator, because even though I had done quite a lot of NLP, I hadn't really done it well on myself. And once I saw the effect, you just realize if you truly want to change something, and I think this is a key as well, if you want to change it, then give it a go. Give it a go. Our mind creates these stories, but it does it in sounds, it does it in images, it does it in feelings. And we can make sense of those sounds, images, and feelings by just moving them around. Mm-hmm. And that was, that is so exciting. And it doesn't take much effort. It just takes the ability to just try. Well, not even try, just do it and see what happens. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I love that story where you had that voice, but you see, that's the thing. A lot of people, they hear these voices and they don't know how to decipher that voice, whether it's something that belongs to them or not.
Yeah.
And if you pay attention like you did, you heard your mother's voice, right? And if people start to decipher these voices and understand whose voice it is, they will know where they're carrying that belief from, and they will understand what it's trying to do. Like you said, I know you're trying to protect me. You've always been there to protect me. This time, I needed to be quiet. Thank you for your contribution to my
well-being.
My well-being. For now, I'm in charge. Right? And that's something that people forget to do. Or they're not aware of it, or obviously because you had studied NLP, and not a lot of people know that. And they take these voices as something being part of them. It's me. And like you said, the more intently we listen to our body, to our mind, to these voices, the easier it will become for one to understand or have more self-awareness and be able to shift their mindset into creating these amazing beliefs that can actually be true, that are based on facts, that are based on possibilities in our life. But I think it's fascinating. It's funny that story was really, really interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, pleasure. I haven't thought about it for a very long time, but it just came up while we were talking.
I'm glad you thought of it now.
And it is, and I think probably what's so important, and I think when I think about it, is just how simple it can be.
Yeah.
When you just take a moment to listen and to just allow yourself to quieten that moment. And I think, as you were talking about motivation, we have to be motivated to want to change, or to want it to be different, to see that possibility, if we don't have that motivation, we can't, we won't. And even if we have beliefs about things, we can still have the motivation to want to think. And I guess that's the idea. How do we connect to our soul? Because our soul is busy telling us that we can have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when we have this dissonance, it's just really the soul trying to say, hey, wake up a little bit. You know, you're carrying this little belief that I don't like. I don't like being stuck in this little place. I want to be nice and big and expanding. And yeah.
No, I love that. I love that analogy, and it's that expansion and that little voice. It's, again, this comes back to the first story, the elephant story. We are putting chains on our life. We confine ourselves to our thoughts, our beliefs, and that small moment of reflection, like you mentioned, that is very similar to people that get angry, right? I was like, people make me angry. No, people don't make you angry. You are choosing to get angry at people's behaviors. They don't make you angry. And I mean, you're allowed to get angry. You're allowed to get annoyed and irritated and frustrated and sad and upset and all of these things and emotions. How are you expressing them? Are you expressing them in a way that limits your potential in life? Are they based on limiting beliefs that you cannot handle the situation differently, right? And that brings me to the part that I wanted to share with people. So grab your pens. I've got a few tips, maybe. Take them. I rarely give advice.
Well, you give general inclinations for people to take on board if they want.
Exactly, right. But like, that's the thing, right? As a coach, I don't give advice, because then they come and say, oh, you told me to. Nope, I didn't say anything. But so if you have your notebook ready, for those of you listening, I've got about seven tips to help you get rid of some of your limiting beliefs. So with your notebook, I would like you, on your own time, to write down 3 to 7 beliefs that you have that have held you back throughout your life. So you choose between 3 to 7. You can start small with 3, and you can, if you dare, go to the 7. And the second step of this exercise is I want you to take one of those limiting beliefs, just one, leave the rest. And I'd like you to find an example of a time, an event, or a situation when that belief may not have been true. So you find that belief, and you find an example in your life when that belief may not have been true. The next step is to just think about how this belief has held you back. And once you've thought about it, how it has held you back, it's time for some time travel for those that like science fiction. So you're going to travel back in time, back into your past, and try to recall when you first started believing this thing about yourself. So it would require you to really dig deep into your memories and travel, even if you can, travel back in time, if you know how to do it with your mind. Look into your past and try to recall that very first time you started believing this about yourself. Once you're there, write down a list of the benefits that you have gained from this self-limiting belief. So that's supposed to be the 5th point. you're going to write down a list of the benefits that you have gained from this self-limiting belief. Now that you've done all of that in the past, I want you to travel back again into the future. Jump back to to the beginning of this session, if you will. And even if you are a constant follower, we did some visualizations, some how to visualize yourself. And I'd like you to actually visualize yourself removing this belief from your system. Whether you believe in magic or not, I love magic. So I've got Dumbledore's wand that I use with my clients, and I give it to them to use it. You can make yourself a wand, if you will, or a wishing lamp, whatever you will, and remove these beliefs from your system, from your mind. And once you've done that, you can breathe in deeply through your nose, open your eyes, if you have them closed, and write down a statement that is the opposite of that self-limiting belief, and say it out loud. Very important to say it out loud, because if you say it out loud, you won't only just say it, you're going to say it with your mouth, you're going to hear it with your ears, you're probably going to imagine what it looks like as well. So all of your senses will be in play. And once you've done that, well, it's back to stage 1 or stage 2, actually, right? You go, you find yourself one of those 3 or 7 self-limiting beliefs, and you start the process again. That's one of the exercises that I do with some of my clients, and I share it with the audience, maybe with the hopes that somebody takes it and uses it for themselves.
Yeah. I wonder if you could give them an example. Thank you. Because I was just thinking what got me when I was doing that. I was thinking, wonder if there is a kind of an idea of explaining what a belief. So for example, for someone like some women may think that because they've been hurt before, they think all men are bad.
Right.
So maybe it's about remembering at some point that not all men are bad.
Right.
Where has that belief not been true, so that they can isolate out. So maybe someone at work is fine, Yeah. So that may not be all men are bad, or so where have they had an experience? So maybe just in the sense of just reminding people, because sometimes it can be quite challenging if you don't do this work to know these beliefs a little bit.
That's very true. It's very important, because it is challenging at times, because we have that filter in our mind that we generalize, right? Or as we say in NLP, we generalize, we distort, and we delete. And if our filters are based on these, then that's where the expression comes: all men are bad, all wealthy people are greedy, right? These are self-limiting beliefs when it comes to, let's talk about money, for instance, right? That's a common self-limiting belief. A person comes and they say, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, what beliefs do you hold about money? Well, all wealthy people are greedy. Wait, hold on, you'll never be a millionaire.
Exactly.
That belief that all wealthy people are greedy, and you think that greed is a bad trait, then you won't be a millionaire. You won't make money.
Because what they'll do is they'll believe that if they get money, they will be greedy.
Exactly. Correct.
Yeah. I just want to just kind of bring that back, because often that's what they don't get, that message. That means I will be greedy. Wow. Oh, do I want to be greedy? No. Right.
It becomes a vicious circle. They go, no, I don't want to be greedy. I'm not a greedy person. Then they have that self, or that negative talk, or that they talk to the not self, right?
Yeah.
People realize subconscious. I just throw it in there. The subconscious doesn't understand the negative. It doesn't understand not. So when you tell yourself,
it's crazy, isn't it?
smart. I'm not dumb. You're telling yourself, I'm dumb. And it's fascinating. And the only thing that the brain can actually do is amplify your thoughts and multiply them. That's it. So be aware of your thoughts, be aware of the words that you use. And remember, these are the small you might consider them tiny self-limiting beliefs, but they have a great impact. The same comes, for instance, with clients that want to quit smoking, right? Very common thing, that want to quit smoking.
Yeah.
They come to the office, whether hypnotherapy or coaching, and I want to quit smoking. Okay. Why do you want to quit smoking? Oh, because my wife said that if I don't quit, she'll leave me. Do you want to quit?
Could be real.
Yeah, it could be real, obviously. But then you ask them, do you want to quit? No, I love it. But you're never going to quit.
You're never going to change someone that doesn't want to change.
And that comes back to what you were saying. Change, that you really want to do it, is crucial. That you want to have a different outcome, that you want to go through the process of making that change is absolutely crucial.
But I also think, just on my other thought going there, is I probably would have said, well, if your wife said you had to be here, I'm just thinking that, and obviously you want to stay with your wife, what would it take?
Right. Well,
I would ask, what would it take?
That's a
good. And then that's just me, because maybe deep inside there is a desire to, you know, and it is about, isn't it about which, because it's like, which wolf do you want to feed? Correct. You know, in a way, do you feed the good one or the bad one, the one that's going to make you happy, the one that's going to give you stability or whatever, or are you going to feed the one that is still really caught up in something else? I think that's a really beautiful example you put there, because that is so, I have that a lot.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
when clients come in and they sort of say, oh, well, I don't know why I'm really here. Oh, okay, because they suggested it. Oh, so do you have a problem? No, not really.
That's it, right? It's you can't really fix something that's not broken, right? It's like, I function that way. I mean, I like to smoke because, for instance, it helps me with my stress.
Exactly.
And that's what NLP teaches us, right? It's every behavior has a positive intention, right? The action itself doesn't necessarily need to be positive. But a person that smokes, they want to be, for instance, they could do it because they want to be included socially. That it's not something that is valid now, obviously, because you get kicked out and into the middle of the street to have a smoke. But for those of you that still smoke and like to gather up and smoke, it's an inclusion of social gatherings. Perhaps you do it to calm you down, stress.
Yeah.
People that like, there are many reasons, and all these reasons are valid for you if that helps you in your way, even though it's healthy. And I'm not promoting smoking, I'm just saying that the fact that
it's a solution to a problem. Exactly,
right?
It's a solution to a problem. I mean, my partner always used to say, when he was working in finance, basically, and he smoked, he said it was great because all the smokers went to the smoking place and we all sat there talking.
Yeah.
People that didn't smoke didn't go and find their recreation. They stayed at the damn desk and were boring. Yeah. So for someone who wanted to stop smoking, that kind of the image they got was, life's boring. And I can't go out and have a rest. You know, these are it's really amazing, you know, the kind of things that people will think about. And it's because they wouldn't think they deserve to go out if they don't smoke.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I mean, I used to smoke, and it was a fantastic, like, conversation opener once you got out of the pub and
exactly,
and you had a drink and you had a smoke. Do you have a light? Do you have a smoke? And then you start talking, right? And it became more of a social thing rather than something that I really needed.
Exactly, connection.
That connection.
Connection, yeah.
So we are nearing the end.
Oh, yes.
Do you have any words of wisdom that you would like to leave with the audience for our talk today about the self-limiting beliefs?
Well, I think we've done such nice stuff today, but I think the thing that I really would would really want to say, and I feel it from the bottom of my heart, is that, if you're feeling anything is not, if you don't feel you're living your best life, if you feel that something is not working, or you're reacting in a strange kind of way, or you listen to someone on a TV and you get angry, really, this is the time to notice, I have a belief that we are here to clear our energy so that we can be light beings. Yeah. Your Mart over there is really, I love the story of Mart, and maybe that's something you could tell. And the story of Mart was about weighing your heart. If your heart is heavy, when you die, then you'll come back. You'll come back, and you have to fix what you haven't fixed already. Yeah, your energy will come back, not you personally. Yeah. But the thing is, it's just, how do we make ourselves light? And it is about just recognizing we're here to do that. So all these little things that don't make us light up, those are the things that we have to clear, clean and work with. And these are beliefs. These are our beliefs.
Thank you very much, Shireen. From my end, I would like you to remember that you are in control of your mind and your thoughts, and how you want your feelings to be processed and expressed. And for a final quote, Henry Ford said, "Whether you believe you can or cannot, you are absolutely right."
Exactly.
That hits the nail on the head when it comes to self-limiting beliefs.
Yes, you're right.
Shireen, thank you so much. For those of you watching us, we are here from Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. UK time with different speakers, different coaches. If you want to get in touch with Shireen, myself, or any of the other speakers, just drop us a note in the comment field or get in touch with us, and you will have the person that you want to talk to ready. Until we
Thank you.
Everyone, have a lovely morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be, and find the voice from within you. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.